G'day everyone, thank you so much for joining. Just before we start, I just want to quickly find out if you can see the MiRO Empower You to Connect Communities presentation, and if you can hear me clearly on this side. If you don't mind, just pop in the chat box yay or nay so I know what to try and fix. Thanks guys. Okay, cool. I'm getting a few good answers on this side. So yeah, let's get started. This is not going to be a very long presentation. It's all going to be under an hour. It's going to be very informative. Joining me, so my name is Ralph Brown. I'm the product management team leader. I'm going to be hosting the MiRO side of things, just to tell you a bit more about MiRO. And then Moshe Ali is going to do the Mimosa presentation. So it's going to be very exciting, very informative. And please, if there's any questions regarding the presentation or whatever, please pop it in the chat box. I'll start Moshe just to ask him that specific question, and then we can answer it then and there while we're on that topic. And yeah, if you are struggling to hear us or if you can't see the presentation, please let us know. Awesome. So I think let's get started on the MiRO side of things, and then I'll stop sharing, and then Marcin can start. Oh, sorry, I haven't. Marcin Ali is the business developer and sales engineer for Mimosa. He's basically working on projects, so he's the man to go to when there's any project, Mimosa projects, any planning needed or technical advice. Further in, we'll add the emails as well in the chat box at the end, as well as the sales the sales email. If you do have any sales related queries, so you can just pop them a mail and they'll get back to you within the next hour or so. Okay, awesome, let's get started. So thank you once again for joining. And so the first slide is just a bit about MiRO. So MiRO currently is 18 years in the ICT industry, meaning we've got a lot of knowledge of what works and what doesn't work. And we can really help you build awesome, very, very good solutions because we have been doing it for 18 years now. We're actually part of a much bigger group called the Backhaul group, and we've got a BE level of 4. We sell to currently we sell to over 35 countries. We've got 5 branches, one in Gauteng, which is our headquarters. We've got a Nelspruit branch, a Durban branch, as well as a brand new Cape Town branch. So go check it out. If you are in Cape Town, go check it out. It's an awesome branch there. We've got over 170 staff members working for us, and that number keeps on growing every year. And we've got around plus minus 2,500 items on our sales catalog. And as I mentioned, we are a very innovative company. We try to stay ahead of the curve. So this number increases every day, every week, every month, every year. Okay, and 95% of our orders are shipped that very same day. So that means we do have a lot of stock. We actually opened 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, a distribution center to keep even more stock for those projects and day-to-day orders. And then, yeah, just an interesting fact, every 12 seconds we ship one new product. And in 2020, we shipped over 640,000 products, even though it was a difficult year for business, because of obviously circumstances last year in 2020. Awesome, let's go on to the next slide. So why should you choose MiRO? Why should you choose us to be your trusted partner? Cool. First one is because we do tailor-made solutions. We've got a team of experts that will help you to create the perfect solution for your specific needs or application. From the planning phase up until the last phase where you choose the perfect products for that solution, will help you with that. We've got a very brilliant technical team that can do pre-sale services, and we also provide after-sale services as well. Secondly, we provide our clients with a complete solution. We've got a very diverse portfolio of technologies, and you are guaranteed to get something that you need for that specific solution. And the nice thing is we like to think of ourselves as a one-stop distribution shop. So you kind of come to us, and you're going to basically buy everything, from the masts, from the routers, from the switches, everything. So the first one is the Wi-Fi portfolio. We have a lot of routers and stuff, different brands in our Wi-Fi portfolio. We've got broadband, which is obviously your wireless point-to-point and point-to-multipoint solutions in various different frequencies as well. We've got our mobile solutions, LTE solutions to keep you connected on the go. your infrastructure, such as your masts, even your brackets, everything, the cable, it's all the last small accessory that you would need in order to complete a complete solution. Okay. Then we also have a very big VoIP, voice over IP portfolio, as well as a security portfolio, which entails IP CCTV cameras, as well as access control and time and attendance solutions, and so on and so forth. And then we have a very vast networking portfolio as well, different sizes of switches, PoE switches, networking switches, from a small 4-port PoE switch up until your big 32 and 40-port switches. And then we also have a very vast fiber portfolio. We've got everything in our fiber portfolio, from the switches to the routers, everything except for the fiber cable itself. Okay, and then we are growing in our IoT portfolio as well. Please stay tuned and look out for marketing on that, because we are launching a couple of very exciting industrial and home IoT solutions and brands. Okay, so be on the lookout for that. It's going to be super exciting, and it will be available soon. Okay, cool. Next slide is why you should choose us: because we've got awesome support. Our reputation and market edge is built around strong technical support and outstanding customer service. We make sure that you are happy all the time. With us, you're dealing with a company and personnel that's fully trained on every and all the technologies that we support, and to ensure you to give you professional advice when planning a solution, as well as effective after-sales services. We've got great technical services, online technical services that's free from Monday till Friday, 8 till 5. Please make use of them. They're very good. And if you want free technical advice, just give them a call. And then lastly, we have the best products. We've got the most effective brands in the industry, in the ICT industry, with the most effective products. So there's definitely something that will suit your needs. And then a new thing that we are currently offering is on-site technical support, on-site assistance. So if you do want more information on that, please just mail support@miro.co.za. Cool. Next one is legal compliance. So we are a market leader in South Africa when it comes to local type approvals on all of our equipment. We make sure that the industry has access, our clients, you guys, have access to a steady supply of legal products. Okay, and then financing. In regards to financing, we've got two options. We've got the hardware finance option, where you just finance your hardware or pass it on to the end user. We make use of IPFin. For more information, just contact your salesperson. They'll send you all the information that's needed. And then in terms of run rate terms accounts, we've got month-to-month terms accounts that offers you 7 to 30 days for that month-to-month purchases. Next one is training. We offer also certified to introductory level courses, whether it's custom on your site or at one of our branches. And this will obviously help not only you, but your entire team, your entire company, to upskill your knowledge by attending all these events. We are doing it online as well on our new online training platform, MiRO Academy, so you can go and check that out. It's on our website. Cool. So yeah, any training queries, please just mail training@miro.co.za or visit our website and check it out. There's a couple of exciting things and free training videos and so on and so forth. And then if you want to follow us, please do. We have very informative videos that we always make, informative posts. We are on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, as well as YouTube, where we post weekly product launches, unboxing videos, a lot of informative stuff. So please, if you don't mind, go follow us, go follow our pages. There's a lot of things to learn on there. And and we always stay up to date with the latest technologies with unboxing videos and so on and so forth. Awesome. For any information, further information, you can visit our website, www.miro.co.za. And then last slide that I have on my side, and then we can get into, is just a big thanks to GrandStream for sponsoring IP Video Talk meetings. This is what we're actually currently using, and it's just wonderful for online meetings, webinars, presentations, you name it, this can do it. Okay, awesome. That's that from my side. Martin, I'm going to ask you to share your screen on your side and then take it away.
Okay, great. Thanks, Ralph, for arranging this presentation, and I would like to thank everyone for joining the presentation. So just to give you a brief introduction about myself, my name is Mohsin. I'm a sales engineer covering most of African region. So I'm doing basically business development and like a technical manager and sales engineering, post and pre-sales engineering as well. So yeah, I mean, this presentation will be around like 40 minutes or so. I'll try to, if you have any questions at any time, please, you can drop your question in the chat box, or you can note down your questions and we can have a Q&A session after the presentation as well. So yeah, to just get down to the presentation, what we promote is hybrid fiber wireless solution. So what this means is, we don't say fiber is bad. Of course, fiber is great technology, but sometimes there are some limitations to deploying fiber, like the time it takes to deploy fiber or the cost that is involved. Sometimes you have to get obviously permissions and licenses from the municipalities and the local authorities. So what we propose is, wherever your fiber is ending, you can go wireless with Mimosa broadband wireless devices, and you can give internet access to your customers instantly. And you can give real fiber-like experience using Mimosa devices. One unique thing about Mimosa is the price to performance ratio. So there are Mimosa is placed in the market where you get a very good performance at a very affordable price. Then we have really unprecedented level of efficiency of how you share the scarce spectrum, because as you know, the 5 GHz unlicensed spectrum is crowded throughout the major cities. So whatever clean spectrum is available to you, you have to use it really efficiently. And we have some great technology using GPS synchronization on how to overcome the problems with interference. And of course, you can use Mimosa radios for voice, video, and data traffic. This is the end-to-end architecture of where Mimosa devices can help in your network. So on the left-hand side, you can see is the Mimosa NMS, or Network Management System. This we have several options. We have a cloud version, which most of the people have been using already. But now recently we have launched an on-premises version of Mimosa Cloud as well. So now you have this is something that we call Mimosa Management Platform, which is the on-premises version. And it's on-premises standalone NMS, and I'll discuss it in some later slides. So then this can be your NOC location, and wherever your fiber is ending, you can go wireless from that location. So for example, if this is the area where you want to serve internet traffic, if it's quite far, then first you will need to do a point-to-point, so to covering long distances. And we have several radios, which I'll cover in the coming slides, and different form factors and different frequencies to cover distances. We have, I mean, you can go quite long distances depending on the antenna that you use. But last week we deployed a 143-kilometer link, and it's a very cost-effective link, which I'll discuss at the end of the presentation as well. But basically, you can reach from like 10 meters to 100 kilometers or even more through Mimosa point-to-point radios. Then once you reach the area where you want to serve internet traffic to, then you need to distribute your traffic. So that's the point where you will use your Mimosa point-to-multipoint access point. Again, we have different versions depending on your deployment type, and depending on the coverage and the density of your subscribers. Then on the client side or the subscriber side, we have a different version of the client devices or the CPE devices as well, with different antenna options. And then, of course, it's powered up by PU injector, and then you can connect through your indoor Wi-Fi routers to connect your mobile phone, laptops, and any other Wi-Fi enabled devices. This is not the only application. So for example, behind this PO injector, you can connect your IP cameras as well if it's a wireless video surveillance application, and the video feed will come through the CPE to the access point and to the point-to-point device to an NVR, which is network video recording system, or if you want to do monitoring, etc. So basically, wherever you need high-speed wireless connectivity, you can use Mimosa radios. Speaking of application, I mean, these are kind of the 4 areas where Mimosa radios has been used mostly. So the first one is rural wireless. This is actually where the wireless ISP started. So in this case, usually you have high sites or towers, or water tanks, and you do installation on top of them, and your customers are usually in very long distances in a certain direction. So in that case, you need a connectorized access point with sector antennas, and you need to shoot very long distances. So we have several products that we will discuss for this scenario. Then the second is a suburban application, where you have a high density of residential homes. For example, in South Africa, we have been quite successful with the micropop solution because you are away from the crowded tower, and you are close in the community, so you can install your access point on top of your a residential house, or for example on a tower in that community, and you connect the houses quite close. And in this case, you will give real fiber-like experience to your customers, because you are away from the noise and you connect the houses quite close through the CPE devices. Then the third one is the urban application, where you can connect different buildings. This can be like connecting two branches of school, or connecting two branches of a hospital, or any other enterprise buildings. The fourth one is we have seen quite a great increase in demand for this scenario, where you can use the Mimosa wireless links for various smart city application, whether it's a wireless video surveillance, or backhauling for Wi-Fi hotspots, or connecting IoT devices. So as I mentioned, you can be really creative, and customer has been really creative with Mimosa radios. So wherever you need wireless connectivity, you can use Mimosa radios. So coming to the products, these are the ABCs of Mimosa radios. Just to make sure like we are on the same page, because different vendors have different naming convention of their products. So A stands for access. These are our point to multipoint access points. So we have three versions, or the A5, A5C, and the A5X. So don't worry about the products now. I'll explain each one of them in detail in the coming slides. So A basically stands for access. 5 is 5 gigahertz, but basically we support a wide frequency range on all of our products. So the 5, most of these, all of these radios support all the way from 4.9 to 6.4 gigahertz. Then B stands for backhaul. These are the point-to-point products. We have products in 24 gigahertz, 11 gigahertz, and then these are the products in the 5 gigahertz. But again, they support a very wide frequency range from some of the C5C, C5X support all the way from 4.6 to 6.4 gigahertz. So C stands for clients. These are the CPE devices, or the subscriber units. We call them client devices. That connects to the A devices to the access points, and these are the C5X family and the C5C. But you will note that the C5C and C5X reside both in the C and the B category, and that's because they are dual mode. So you can use the C5C as a point-to-point radios for point-to-point links, and you can use them as point-to-multipoint clients as well. Then we have series of antennas for the A devices, the A5C and the A5X. So we have the N5360 and the N545, X2 and X4 antenna. And we have series of antennas for the C5X as well, 12, 16, 20, and 25 dB antenna for the C5X. NMS, as I mentioned, we have the cloud management system, which is free to use. There is no license. And then we have Mimosa management platform as well. The basic version for MMP, or the Mimosa management platform, is free. And then if you want to have pro services or functions, then there is a license. Within the Mimosa Cloud, we have the NDT, or the Network Design Tool, which is again free to use. And I really recommend everyone to use the Mimosa Network Design Tool because it's a great tool to use even before a deployment. You can put the coordinates, select your radio antenna, and you will see what kind of performance you should expect. And it also shows you like how high your antenna should be, and if there is clear line of sight or not. So it's a great tool to use before your deployment, and even before selecting your radios. So coming to the access products, or the point-to-multipoint products, basically there are two architectures that we promote. The first one is the micropop. So as I mentioned before, the micropop is basically you are in the community and you're connecting the houses quite close. And usually the access point installation is usually on a rooftop of a subscriber home maybe. And then usually the service provider, they they negotiate with the subscriber and say like, okay, we need installation on your rooftop, but we can give you free or subsidized rate internet. So that's one thing to do. Otherwise, if you have your own tower on the community, that's a perfect solution. And then you can connect the houses quite close using the CP devices, the C5X. And then for each, some of the houses will be quite close, so you don't have to use a very big antenna with a CP device. I mean, we have a 12 dBi, 16 dBi antenna as well, so you can reduce the cost of your CP installation quite much for the nearby houses. And then as the distance increases, you can increase the antenna size. I mean, if you have fiber to the community already, that's fine. But if you don't have fiber or internet source over here, then you can just you use a point-to-point link to connect to your NOC location. The second architecture is the long-range architecture, where, as I mentioned before, you do installation of your access point and sector antennas on high sites or towers or on water tanks, for example. And then your subscribers are usually at long distances. I mean, this can be like 10 kilometers or 15 kilometers point-to-multipoint connection. So in that case, you can use the same CP device, C5X, but you can use a large 25 dBi antenna, or even if it's very long distance point-to-multipoint connection, you can use C5C with a 30 or 34 dBi antenna as well. So coming to the access points, these are the first two versions of the access points. So we have the A5 and the A5C. The A5, as you can see from the picture, it gives you coverage in 360 degrees. We don't call it an omnidirectional antenna because it has four 90-degree sector antennas. So, but still you get very good coverage in 360 degrees. A5C is 4x4 MIMO access point. As you can see, it has 4 type N connectors. And both of them, A5 and A5C, cover a very wide frequency range from 4.9 to 6.4 gigahertz. And both of them have GPS synchronization. So they have built a GPS chip and GLONASS chip built into the radio. So it's not like an external GPS module that you connect to the access point. It's built into the radio. So it's very scalable solution. For example, you can deploy your access point with a sector antenna in one direction, and then as your customer number increases, you can install many more access points, and you can get use of the GPS synchronization because the back-to-back sectors can reuse the same frequency. So for each and every access point, you don't have to use a separate frequency. You can reuse the frequency using Mimosa GPS synchronization. This is one of our latest access point that we have launched, which is the A5X. This is, as you can see from the picture, it has 2 type N connectors, 2x2 MIMO access point. But it's fully featured, and it's also IP67 rated as the A5C and the A5. And it supports 100 clients, 66 clients in Wi-Fi interop mode and 44 clients in the SRS or GPS synchronization mode. One good thing about is the A5X is it's very low in power consumption. So a typical power consumption is 9 watts, while the maximum power consumption is 12.9 watts. And it accepts a very wide range of input passive PoE, so from 24 volts to 56 volts DC. So if you have application where you don't have electricity from the grid and you are using battery backups or solar panels, then I mean, this is a great solution because power consumption is a major factor in those kind of applications. So, I mean, where will you use which access point? This is just kind of a comparison of applications. So A5 is purely for micropop solutions. So if you have like within 500 meter distance, you want to connect houses in that range, I mean, A5 is the product to use. Then if you want to increase the micropop distance or the radius, then you can use the A5C with the N5 360 antenna, which I'll discuss in the coming slides. So I mean, this is basically to increase the coverage of the micropop. But I mean, you can use A5C for very long distance sectors as well. So for example, you can use a 40, 45 or 90-degree sector antenna, and you can cover a very long distance. I mean, we have links of 10, 12, 15 kilometers as well with the A5C and our sector antenna. And it's 4x4 MIMO access point, and you can do beamforming as well. So with beamforming, you get some extra distance and extra very good signal to noise ratio. So it's for very long distance, and also in cases where you have high noise, then you can use the A5C because it can do beamforming as well, so you can get really good performance. A5X is basically, you can use it in the same applications as the A5, as the A5C, but because it's very flexible as it's connectorized, and depending on the antenna that you use, you can use it for micropops, and you can use it for short to medium distances as well. And that's because this is 2x2 MIMO access point, while the A5C is 4x4 MIMO access point. So this is a general kind of datasheet comparison. I won't go through each and every row, but just to give you the differences, I mean, the A5X is kind of fully featured as the A5 and the A5C, but the difference comes where the A5X cannot do beamforming because it's 2x2 MIMO access point, and the TX power is 27 dBm, while the A5C is 30 dBm. So basically, for short to medium distances, we recommend to use the A5X, and for long distances and even medium distances where you have high noise or you want to give some extra capacity to the subscribers, you can use the A5C. But basically, I mean, the throughput, everything else is exactly the same. So I mean, all the access points have really incredible performance. The maximum capacity or the throughput that you can get is 730 Mbps. This is the aggregate IP throughput. So currently we have a different operational or traffic split modes as well. So we have the 50-50 traffic split mode if you need an equal uplink and downlink requirement. If your downlink requirement is much more than your uplink requirement, which usually the wireless ISPs has, because people are watching Netflix, downloading movies, watching YouTube. So you can use the 75-25 traffic split, and in this mode you can go more than half a gig in downlink, and then around 180 Mbps uplink direction. Recently, due to COVID, we have learned that because of the conference calls and people are working from home, so I mean the uplink requirement has increased as well than before COVID era. So that's why we introduced the 6733 Mbps. The downlink requirement is still more than the uplink, but still people are doing conference calls, and they are doing like video chats and stuff like that. So you have the option to use 6733 traffic split as well, and even 6733 traffic split, the downlink will be around 500 Mbps. So coming to the sector antennas, this is the first sector antenna that we have, which is the N545X2. 45 means this is a 45-degree sector, and X2 means this has 2 ports. So basically, you can use 2 of them with each A5C, or you can use the N545X2 with A5X, which has 2 ports. It supports a wide frequency range as the access points from 4.9 to 6.4 gigahertz, and it has a very high gain of 19 dBi as well. One best thing about this antenna is the 43 dB of front to back ratio, and this is very important parameter. A high front to back ratio means like most of the energy or all of the energy is going in the forward direction where it should go, and there is no leakage coming to the backside. This is important because if you have co-location and you have multiple access points and antennas installed on a single tower like a POP location, then sometimes if you usually get interference from your own radios and your own antennas. So a very good front to back ratio and very good side lobe rejection means that there is no interference coming from your own antennas. Second version of this antenna is the N545X4. This has again the same frequency range, and X4 means it has 4 ports. So this is specially designed for the A5C, which has 4 ports as well. And if you use this antenna with the A5C, you can go very long distance, high capacity beamforming sectors. Again, it has 43 dB of front to back ratio, so it's very good in performance as well. These are some of the scenarios where you can use the N545 sector antenna. So if you want to use, if you want to have a very long range, high capacity beamforming sector, then you can use the A5C with the N545X4 antenna. If you want to have a cost-effective coverage where you need more coverage from a single access point, you can use two of the N545X2 from a single with a single A5C, and you can merge them to have a 90-degree sector, or you can have separate 45-degree sectors as well. And then you can use N545X2 antenna with Mimosa A5X, because both of them has two ports, and you can have like you can use this scenario for like short to medium distance point to multi-point applications. Since the A5X is connectorized, you can, and similar to the A5C, you can use some third-party antennas as well if you want to have a wider sector, for example, 65, 90 degree or 120 degrees. And I'll mention one of the third-party antenna in the coming slides as well. So this is one of our other very popular antenna, which is called the N5 360. This is basically four-stream beamforming antenna. It's very popular with the A5C and especially designed for the A5C. So if you have a micropop scenario, but you want to increase the micropop distance, let's say from 300-400 meters to 700-800 meters. In fact, some of my customers are using it for even 1.5-2 kilometers distance if they have a clear line of sight. And they are getting really good performance with this antenna. So, I mean, this is a really great antenna to use for the micropops. And again, it supports a very wide frequency range from 4.9 to 6.4 gigahertz. So this is just a comparison between the A5 and the A5C plus N5 360. Both are used for micropops, but as I mentioned, people mostly prefer to go with the A5C with N5 360 because this antenna can do beamforming as well, and you can increase the coverage radius and give higher capacity to your subscribers. So with the A5X, as I mentioned, you can, since it's connectorized, you can use some third-party antennas as well. Like for example, you can use a sector antenna that RF Elements have recently launched, and you can just clip the A5X directly on the back. This is a 90-degree sector antenna from RF Elements, so it's a great antenna. It's not only limited to this antenna. I mean, you can use any other two-port sector antenna. I mean, RF Elements have other like horn antennas which you can use, or the asymmetrical horn antennas that you can use with the A5X as well, depending on your application. So I mean, it's quite flexible radio where you can use any third-party antenna that's compatible, and you are good to go. So in terms of the client devices or the CPEs, we have the C5X family and the C5C. C5X, this is the C5X radio by itself. It has 8 dBi integrated antenna as well, but then you can use the 12, 16, 20, and 25 dBi antenna with the C5, the same CPE. For like short to medium distances and even for long distances. But if you have very long distance clients, then you can use the C5C because it's connectorized, and you can use a 30, 34 dBi dish with the C5C. Again, it supports wide frequency range from 4.9 to 6.4 gigahertz. So basically, the whole Mimosa point to multi-point solution can supports 4.9 to 6.4 gigahertz. And a wide frequency range is quite important because sometimes if you are in crowded cities or in high sites, I mean, usually you don't have clean spectrum in 5 gigahertz. So if you can get a license for 6 gigahertz or so, Mimosa devices are ready. And now due to Wi-Fi 6 and 6E, I hope the regulatories will open the 6 gigahertz frequencies as well. So I mean, Mimosa radios are very much ready for those application and those frequencies. This is a C5X radio by itself. As you can see, it has 8 dBi integrated antenna as well. And then it has a modular twist on design. So if I play this video, you can see you can attach it to a 12 dBi horn antenna. You just have to plug it in, rotate it 3 times, and installation is done. So there are no pigtails or no connectors. It's a zero loss solution. So this is a 20 dBi antenna, and you can connect it with a 25 dBi antenna as well. So the maximum antenna that you can use with the C5X is 25 dBi antenna. Very soon, I mean, you guys will see 30 and 34 dBi antenna from Mimosa as well for the C5X. Currently, RF Elements, they have kind of a twist port adapter for the C5X, and they have a higher gain antenna for the C5X. But I mean, truly speaking, we haven't tested that ourselves. and we haven't got any feedback, so I'm not sure on the performance. But I mean, with Mimosa currently, you can use a 25 dBi antenna with the C5X, but very soon you will see higher gain antennas as well. And I mean, these antennas are really good in performance. They have very good side lobe rejection, very good front to back ratio. And this is very important factor because, I mean, obviously you install the CPE on a rooftop or on a side wall of a home. And then, of course, you will have an indoor Wi-Fi router, like maybe 1 or 2 or 3, depending on how large the house is. So, I mean, you can get quite a lot of interference from the indoor Wi-Fi routers to the CPE as well. So, with Mimosa C5X and antennas, you get around like 10 dB of better signal to interference and noise rejection. So it's 10 dB improvement is quite huge. I mean, you can increase 4 MCS rates, or you can increase the phi rate by like 370 Mbps. It's a huge thing. So I mean, having a good CPE antenna is also as important as having good antenna for the access point. These are some of the accessories for the CPE mounting. Like you can use the J mount, which gives you some extra space if you are mounting besides a wall. You can also use a flexi mount, and this is a gigabit NID, which is the network interface device. You can use it for outdoor technician access, ESD protection, and grounding. So this is a typical subscriber installation. You can install the CPE on a rooftop or on a side wall. So basically, you will have a flexi mount or J mount, and then this is C5X radio. This is the antenna. This is the N5X20 antenna. But you, as I showed, you have 4 other options as well. Then the connection goes to the NID, which is used for grounding point, and you can use it for outdoor technician access and ESD protection as well, which is powered. I mean, the C5X will be powered by the PO injector, which has the switch port, and you can connect your indoor Wi-Fi routers or gateways to the PoE. So in terms of product distance relationship, I mean, if you're doing a micropop, obviously you'll be using the A5 or the A5C with N5360. You can even use the A5X with a third-party omnidirectional antenna. And then you connect the houses through C5X and the antennas. So if it's a long distance sectional deployment, you can use the A5C with the N545X4, or you can use the A5X with the N545X2 or any third party antenna, and you can connect the houses. And depending on the distance, you can use either C5X radio by itself, since it has ATBI integrated antenna, and then you can connect it with the 12, 16, 20, or 25 dBi dish. If it's a very long distance, then you can use C5C with a 30 dBi or 34 dBi antenna as well. So, I mean, what is SRS, or spectrum reuse synchronization, and why synchronization is important? So, just to give you an example, this is some pictures that we got from one of our customers called Prairie Hills Wireless. They are based in Nebraska, US. Previously, they were using Mimosa point-to-multipoint access points, but in Wi-Fi interop mode. So they could cover 250 subscribers. They could give 25 Mbps max kind of service, and they were using 15 channels. So each color that you see over here is basically an access point using a different channel. And you can see from the colors how many different channels they are using. So they were using almost 600 megahertz of spectrum. And they could not connect any more subscribers because there were no clean channels available. So once they switched to Mimosa SRS protocol, which gets use of the GPS synchronization, then they were covering full town with 750 subscribers because more spectrum was cleaned up, and they could give 200 Mbps kind of service, and they were using only 2 channels. So they connected 750 subscribers with only 2 80 megahertz channels. So it's a huge difference because you can deploy more access point, you can connect more subscribers, you can connect more, you can give higher throughputs. So I mean, if they are, I mean, the whole town, if you have only 4 access point, then it won't matter if you are using SRS protocol or if you are using Wi-Fi interop protocol. But if you have a very crowded area where you need to connect lots of customers and you will put lots of access points, then SRS protocol shines out, and I mean, you can really get the benefit of GPS synchronization and network scalability. So that was all about the point-to-multipoint products and solution. I'll briefly touch on the backhaul products. So we have two categories of backhaul products. First, we call the high reliability backhauls. They can give you up to 1.5 gigabits of aggregate IP throughput. All of them has dual link. What this means is at the same time, the radio is operating on two different channels at the same time. So basically, if one channel is interfered, the other one will still be up and you will never lose the link. Other benefit is if you don't have one single clean 80 megahertz channel, you can use two small 40 megahertz channel and so for 20 megahertz channels. So if you don't have one clean 40 megahertz channel, you can use two small 20 megahertz channel and get the same capacity. All of them has built-in GPS and GLONASS chip. They are IP67 rated and very much for the harshest and outdoor conditions. So we have products in 5 gigahertz, basically 4.9 to 6.4 gigahertz. Then we have product in 11, licensed 11 gigahertz, basically from 11 to 10 to 11.7 gigahertz, and then a product in 24 gigahertz as well. The second category is the cost-effective backhauls. I've explained the C5C and the C5X already in detail, but as I mentioned, you can use them as point-to-point radios as well. So for short to medium point-to-point links, if your requirement is within 700 or 730 Mbps, you can use the C5X with different antenna option depending on the distance. If you have a very long link need and you require like up to 700 Mbps, but you want to have a very cost-effective link, then you can use C5C with a third-party 30 or 34 dBi dish, and you can go very long distance given that you have a clear line of sight. And in point-to-point mode, they support 4.6 to 6.4 gigahertz. It's a very wide frequency range supported by a single product. This is just an example of a link, as I mentioned at the start of presentation, with in Africa, which is a 143.4 kilometer link. As you can see the distance over here, and you can see the fire rate is 653 in downlink and 586 Mbps in uplink. So, and they are using 34 dBi dish for 143 kilometer. I suggested to use like 37 dBi, but I mean, they say we cannot increase the cost. So I mean, even with 34 dBi dish, they are getting very good capacity in 143 kilometer. So this is a C5C link, C5C radio connected to a 34 dBi dish. So in terms of management, as I mentioned, we have several options. We have a cloud-based Mimosa NMS, which is free to use. There is no license. You can use it for any number of devices, and it has lots and lots of features and tabs. I mean, you can check the throughput of each and every device, the spectrum, the temperature, the errors, and many other things. Like if you click on your access point in the cloud, it will show you how many clients are connected, the health of each and every client, the throughput, I mean, the errors, many other things that you can see on the Mimosa Cloud. So it's a great tool to use. You can even upgrade your firmware from the Mimosa Cloud. You can go back in time and see like what happened with your link like 2 hours ago or 3 hours ago. So you can see spectrum of each and every radio from the Mimosa Cloud as well. Then, I mean, some people, of course, they don't want to use the cloud services. So we have an on-premises version and for private cloud deployments as well, which we call the Mimosa Management Platform or MMP. This is recently launched. So the basic version, as I mentioned, is free to use, which gives you same services as the Mimosa Cloud. But if you want to have pro carrier grade services like FCAPs and those kind of services, optional like node-bound APIs and wireless device lifecycle management and things like that. So then there is a license for other versions as well. I mean, there we have a license, B, C, and D license for MMP, and as you can get those licenses as well. But the basic version, the feature that you see on the cloud are all available on the basic version of the MMP, and that's for free. Within the Mimosa Cloud, we have network design tool as well. And as I mentioned, I mean, I highly recommend to use a Mimosa network design tool before deployment or even before purchasing the radio. So you should see how much area you want to cover and where your clients are, which antenna you need to use with your access point, which antenna you need to use with your client device, and many other parameters that you can check, and the coverage of the access point and stuff like that. So I mean, again, it's free to use on the Mimosa Cloud. So just, I mean, I highly recommend to use this tool. Other than that, at last, I would like to say we have really great award-winning support as well. As Ralph mentioned, I mean, MiRO has great support, local support as well. But just in case you need, we have also a very great support, which is free to use. You just have to go to Mimosa website, click on support, and then you can click on the chat box, and someone will start chatting with you right away. So I mean, and these are real like field engineers who have known the devices for years and years. They know the issue, how to optimize your configurations, your parameters on the link, and I mean they can even do Skype calls, team viewer sessions, or anything. You can always reach out to us as well. And MiRO guys are highly trained also. So I mean, you can for local support you can use MiRO as well. I mean, that's really great. Um, so yeah, that's all from my side. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I know it went a bit long, but yeah, if you have any questions, I think this is the right time to ask.